Hi, I'm Dr. Tabitha, the Gutsy Gynecologist. I'm a triple board certified OBGYN and functional medicine physician. I've embraced the world of functional medicine and wellness through my own personal health journey, and I'm super excited to share my wisdom and unique perspective as it pertains to women's health. After caring for thousands of women, I've come to realize that your gut health determines your gyne health and your overall health. And it's a super gutsy thing for me to go against conventional gynecology practice to bring you the truth. No more Band-Aid medicine, ladies. We're talking root cause resolution on this show. So if you're struggling with hormone imbalance, weight gain, period issues, anxiety, insomnia, you name it, then you've come to the right place. And I want to be your gutsy gynecologist. So welcome. Hi, ladies. All right, welcome back. I want to read a review that I got this past week. Really awesome. Women's health advice at its best. This is from Fertile Lady from Canada. Dr. Tabitha's no-nonsense approach, coupled with her deep compassion to elevate women's health, makes this podcast a must-listen. Thank you, Fertile Lady from Canada. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you're finding value in what we're doing. I do this for you. I don't get paid. This is all free on the side. Just me trying to educate you, open your eyes to what's possible in your life and in your health. And so I just really appreciate that feedback. If you're finding value in this, I would love it if you would give me a 5-star review and let me know what you're thinking. That lets iTunes know that you guys want to hear this. So also in the links, you can sign up for my Gutsy Gynecologist Guide to Balancing Your Hormones Naturally. This is a great guide. It's a very good starter, 5-step system of what to do to get your hormones back into balance. And of course, there's some gut stuff in there, right? Because that's what we do. But that is a great way to really start connecting with me outside of the podcast. You can get signed up to get my emails and all that amazing information, because the more that you know, the more that you can really transform your health and your life. I'm not just looking to fix your gut and just to fix your hormones. I want to transform your life because you deserve to live an amazing, vibrant, healthy life. So awesome. Let's get in today's episode. It's really good. So my guest is in Australia, so you're going to love her accent, but she is like the me on the other side of the world. And I just love how she approaches things. So apparently I like myself. But no, I just love how Jackie really approaches medical conditions and helping women reclaim their health and get back in tune with their bodies. So she's a medical intuitive, and she really helps women understand what is going on with their body and how they can get more in tune and understand and listen and change, transform, not just stop being sick, but actually be vibrant and feel amazing and have an awesome life. So she and I are both super passionate about that. So Jackie Bowker is the CEO of the Global Feel Better Institute. She has her own pain to purpose story that she's going to share with us. And, she is a scientist, a nutritionist, but what really struck me as unique about Jackie is that she's a spiritual coach. And so when you really tune into all of that, you can have some amazing results, because I don't think you just need the perfect diet or the perfect workout or whatever. There's so much more to us. We are complex spiritual beings having a physical experience, right? And so you want a guide that can help you tap into that. So we're going to talk about all of that. And she gives awesome tips and tricks to really start hearing what your body's telling you and making these changes. So this is an awesome episode. I love it. Follow Jackie. The links are in the show notes. Her Instagram posts are awesome. Like, I drool every time I see her recipes, her pictures. So she's fabulous. So here we go. Well, welcome, Jackie, to the Gutsy Gynecologist Show.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Tabitha. Your show is incredible. So many gifts you put out into the world. I love listening to it on my Sunrise Beach walks. You make my day. So you're just a shiny light. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel the same way about you. I love all the work you're doing. And that's why I needed to have you on, because I feel like you're kind of the missing piece for so many of my women. And you and I were talking right beforehand, and it's like we are the hemisphere mirror of each other. What you're doing on the other side of the world, I'm doing over here. And I gravitated toward you because of all the beautiful work you're doing with energy and intuitive healing. And so I really want to dive into that, because that is where I think it's at. You talk a lot about like reclaiming your energy physically, right? But I want to talk about the other aspect of it. So let's at least like share your story. Tell my listeners, because I find it fascinating that you come from the world of corporate, non-medicine, non-healing, non-intuitive. And here you are like helping millions of women.
Oh, thank you so much. And you're absolutely right. The best way I can sum up my story, I think, is by a note that I was copied on from one of my clients to somebody else. She's an ambitious, high-performing woman in the corporate space. And she said, I wish I knew what I've learned from Jackie 10 years ago. And that is my mission and my purpose, because I was that woman. I was the corporate high-flying executive. If I was still doing that now, I'm sure I would be running a company. I'm, very ambitious. But I didn't realize that I had this baseline of not operating on purpose, of not operating with pure joy. And that was coming from a place of pure exhaustion. And I think we don't realize that, Tabitha. I was talking to my husband about this earlier, and reflecting on my day to day, I just still get out of bed and go and do my work, and I'd be waking up in the middle of the night, responding to emails. And I did that. I created that scenario because I wanted to be important. I always deliver what I say I'm going to do. And I wanted to make sure people were looked after, that my team were looked after. And you exhaust yourself. And I know that you talk about adrenals, but our adrenals are supposed to be the size of a walnut. And they've done autopsies on people with adrenal fatigue, so that those adrenal glands, which are responsible for managing stress in the body, and they've degraded to the size of a pea. And I was thinking, I wonder what size mine are on my poor adrenals. So I basically hit rock bottom. And if there's one of me, there's millions more like me. And I had this moment at work. I was talking to a team member and I fell asleep in the conversation. And I was in conversations with a doctor at the time, conventional medicine route, and we were running tests and trying to work out why I wasn't feeling good. And the doctor said, you have to cut back on your hours. And I was like, oh, I can't, I've got this job and I'm important and people are relying on me. And I loved that. So through many years of digging deep and deciding I had, for my own safety of my health, of myself and my family, I decided to take some time off from that job, and then discovered nutrition, functional medicine. And my whole world was opened up to feeling better through using these practices on myself. And I realized I have to share this with the world, because when you feel good, you want to feel good even more. And you actually are in a position where you can give service. You can live a life of service, but you can't do that when you're on the floor.
No, you cannot. Oh my gosh. When you were talking about your story, I had a flashback to my residency. I fell asleep at the operating room table in the OR because I was still a resident. And so I was just holding the camera and not moving, and it was dark. And like, that is how bad things can get, So I'm happy to hear that your doctor even mentioned that you should work less, because I think
Yeah.
so many doctors are burnt out themselves that they can't even recognize it or give you advice on it. So I love all the work you're doing, because women need to just wake up from that mundane day-to-day burnt out life that they're leading. Like literally, we wake up and we just start doing stuff. We're not mindful. We're not thinking about what we're doing to our body and the harm we're causing. So I would love for you to talk about, like, what are the major energy zappers? Like, what is killing our energy?
Oh, such a great question. And to tell you one thing that was killing my energy, which I didn't even know at the time, apart from, working too much. And I loved exercise, so I was probably moving enough, but I certainly wasn't sleeping very well. But I was expressing, so I was breastfeeding at the time with a baby, and I was expressing in a kitchen at work. That was the room that was designated at the time. And I had people knocking on the door, like, can I toast my sandwich? Like, is somebody in there? And I just, my heart goes out to the women that have gone back to work. And you know what it's like leaving a baby at home, and you'll be sitting in a meeting and you might be leaking and you've just got so much going on. You're leading this double life. So I think there's a lot that we're doing that we don't even realize are sapping our energy, because there's no white space. You're just running from one emergency to the next, from one fire to the next, and you're living, on your adrenaline, on your cortisol. So when you're living on your adrenaline, your cortisol, you're up, you're feeling good. Like I didn't notice my energy until I didn't have any left. But we have a great energy. We've surveyed over 11,000 people now on what their energy score is and what makes up energy. And we ask questions from: how are they digesting their food? Are they sleeping through the night? How much are they moving? Do they have people in their life that they are connected to? Do they feel loved? Are they grateful? And so my passion is helping people that realize that there's more to it than meals, mindset, moves, and that we have to ask those questions. And you're right, my doctor, she was wonderful, and she definitely helped me so much. But now, being an intuitive, I could see in her eyes she was really burnt out. And I tried to go back to her a few months later, and she wasn't at the clinic anymore. And when I asked about it, they said she's not practicing anymore. And I honestly believe it's because she had her own health crisis, and that's the only information I could find out. But conventional medicine, you've come from that space. Like, she didn't ask me how much water I was drinking. She didn't ask me what I was eating or how I was sleeping. It's the basics. So we have to understand what your baseline is. That I'm a scientist. I did a science degree biomedical science degree at uni, and I love that because I can so geek out with you, Tabitha. But we have to understand what our baseline is, and we're all different. And then fuse that with, what are you saying to yourself? What are the words that you're using? Because the words that you're using are your beliefs, and your beliefs can hold you back, or your beliefs can support you. So your beliefs can put you in a place of optimal health, or your beliefs can put you in a place of sickness. So many things contribute to energy, and it's about understanding where you're at and then making a plan, but you have to get that data.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So you can listen to other episodes. We talk about the basics. You have to sleep. You have to get your diet dialed in. You have to, take certain supplements to replace your deficiencies and to repair and do all of that work. But if you're not doing this inner work and changing your thoughts and belief patterns and all of that, you're just not going to heal, right? That's what I keep seeing in patients. It's like they go to provider after provider after provider, and they didn't heal me. They didn't heal me. I'm still tired. I'm still sick. I'm still in pain. And I would love for you to talk about taking ownership, because honestly, I cannot heal anyone. Physicians cannot heal you. You have to heal yourself, right?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And I know you talk about this a lot on your show. I believe we haven't learned that it's important for us to take responsibility for our health and nutrition. And that's why I'm so passionate about working with high performing people, because they're usually the people that are in charge of the household. And so that means you're usually in charge of dependence of people. So what behavior are you modeling, and are you responsible for your own actions? So we seem to have lost that. And maybe that's because there is this, there's still this white coat, my doctor's going to tell me what to do. And, even my doctor, she was so generous and so compassionate, so empathetic, but I still had to say, can I have a printout of my blood test? Can you walk me through what they actually say? And so when I work with someone, there's a couple of things. The first thing, if you are skeptical of your ability to achieve your transformation, or if you're skeptical of my approach in getting you there, then there is absolutely no point in you investing your time, your money, and my time, because practitioners, this, we live to get you results. Like it's a life of service. We absolutely want to get you the transformation. And if you don't get there, like we think about you in our spare time.
Yes.
Often I'll wake up and I'll have a download of what that client, what's going on, what the missing piece is for that client, what the very next step is. But we have to take responsibility. And so my work is, I am an equal. I'm not the guru. I am your guide. And I love this word. I'm the sumatak. I'm the keeper of the sacred space. So it is a safe place for us to talk about what is going on for you. And if I listen to you for long enough, you will tell me what is wrong, and you will tell me how to fix it. And so I feel like we've lost the art of listening. And if we could do that more and help the client or the patient understand it is their responsibility, their choice to take responsibility for their health and for their nutrition and their gut health and their hormones. And they are the only ones that can do that. Nobody else can do it for you.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. And I feel like we get so focused being a patient on our diagnoses and our illnesses and our symptoms that we get to be a broken record. We just talk about that, and we're not really moving past that and talking about the impact that it has on our life or what we want instead. I love taking my patients to like, how do you want to feel in 3 months? How do you want your day to go? What do you want life to look like? And if we start listening to them and they say that kind of stuff, it changes things, right?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. And I'm a student of Abraham Hicks. And so what she taught me was that dwelling on feeling bad, that's my whole reason my company exists, the Global Feel Better Institute. So if you're feeling bad, then it's just going to attract more of that energy, and so how do you get out of this? And there is a lot of momentum around feeling bad. And so it's people can say, oh, well, it's easy for you to say, like, I'm feeling really bad. How do I feel better? But there's strategies and tools and rituals and tactics that you can put in place to get you out of the momentum. One of them is actually go to sleep or have a nap. But, it is really, really important that you don't stay in a place of feeling bad. And I think that's how coaching and functional medicine has evolved. Like if you're, it's a bit lazy as a practitioner to do talk therapy, to just let the person talk and allow them to vent and to let them stay in this place. And I love what you said, Tabitha, about, and this is a question that I ask all of my clients. I'll say, what's going on for you? What's the priority? What's the next thing that's coming up to work on? And they'll say, we have to collect that data. And then it's like, all right, what do you want instead? And what's blocking you from getting there? And what's the plan that we're going to put in place? So you got to work for it. So I'm your guide, but the gold dust comes from you. And you would have this experience. I was talking to a client yesterday, and I'll ask clients, what's the priority for you to say today? And if I didn't ask that, I would assume that it might be continuing to work on the gut health because there wasn't a gallbladder and we're doing rehabilitation there, or we need to clear out some of the excess estrogens, because we've got too much of the 408, and you just ask them and you listen, and they'll say something like, I really want to be lean and strong. And they'll be like, right, how do we focus on, building your glutes and the resistance? What's the action you're going to take? So it's amazing what comes out of patients or clients' mouths. Do you have that experience?
Oh my gosh, every day. And I think, you have hit on the key. Like, we have to get them out of this place of feeling bad, and like giving them back hope and letting them imagine a better version of themselves, and then being the guide to actually make that happen, because that's where women are stuck, right? So you mentioned sleep. Like, that was my story. I was so sleep deprived as an obstetrician. I didn't sleep for probably 15 years and it broke me. And so now sleep is precious. I prioritize it, and it's made the world of difference. But what are some other things that you see to really move the needle when you're talking about tools and strategies?
Great question. And I agree with you about sleep, best free drug that there is. And
Yes.
before I get to your question about sleep, we know sleep deprivation is a form of torture. We know that.
Right, right.
As a guide, if I can help you connect the dots between torture and that you're torturing yourself, and then we make a plan with really simple actions that you put in place and monitor, did they work for you or didn't they? Then that's where the hope comes from. And it's a collaboration. So in terms of other tools, my biggest thing is, what are you saying to yourself? I have had decades of my life where I've wanted my best friend. She's got beautiful, luscious lips. So I wanted her lips. And I had another friend. She had long, lean legs. So I wanted her legs. And then I had large feet. I didn't want large feet. I didn't want size 10 feet. I wanted size 8 feet. And so I was looking at myself every day for decades, wanting something else, and the loathing that becomes very addictive, because you can get that dopamine hit from loathing or loving, but that those decades of loathing and the words that I use to myself, there's the classic, like, what would you say to a friend, or what would you say to, I always have my 7-year-old daughter, what would I say to Coco? Well, would I say that to myself? No. So what my clients do is, in the morning, they're in the mirror. Being naked is a bonus, and they are loving on themselves. And I know I've tried to get my own mum to do this, and she's like, I won't do it. I hate doing it. It's like, it's so sad. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So you
Sure.
standing in the mirror, and what are you saying? How are you finding something that you love about yourself? I love my brown eyes. They're so kind, and I appreciate the body that I've got. It doesn't mean you don't have goals, but if you can't accept where you are, you aren't going to lose the weight. The weight is going to stay on there because the body thinks that you want it to, because you're asking for it. And that's my special sauce, I suppose. Like, if you get people to focus and awareness, so I'm not the guru, you are, what are you saying to yourself? What are the words? Like, let's just be honest about it. I've even had people put a rubber band on and flick themselves every time they say something. And they've said to me, my wrist really hurts. I cannot flick one more time. I'm like, that's data. This is wonderful. They're like, it's all right for you to say you have a sore wrist. But, it's just more and more data about the very next step. So if you want to lose 5 or 10 pounds, 5 kilos, start with what you're saying to yourself, and start imagining and falling in love with your future self. So I love talking to people about that, and it just has such an amazing impact. It's just one small step at a time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We think so much alike. Oh my goodness. I just think that moves the needle way more than whatever supplement you're buying, or what program you're doing this week. It's just really what's going on in your head. What are the recordings that are playing over and over. Who's talking to you? Whose voice are you listening to? So everyone should listen to Jackie.
But I love what you're saying about the supplements, and I love your line of supplements. I love that you talk about Saccharomyces, Velati, and that your own line has that beautiful yeasty probiotic in it that feeds the gut flora. But if I have a client that is resistant towards supplements, we have a conversation about that. We have an honest, supportive, compassionate conversation about it. And I give them work to do around every time I take this powder that I really don't like the taste of. It is like liquid gold, and imagine how it's supporting me. So I believe supplements are a weapon, but are they a weapon that's really, really going to accelerate your results? Because if you confuse your biology, you would know this, it's easy to balance someone's biology, like we could do it with our eyes closed. But fusing that with the mindset and getting the mind to go in the same direction, that is the secret sauce, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you mentioned you're a medical intuitive, and you're helping people have positive thoughts and create a new, existence for themselves. But how are you approaching the client that's different than your typical practitioner? What does it mean that you're a medical intuitive?
Oh, it's such a great question. So, and the best way to describe this is I suppose I'll give you the backstory of how that happened. Through my studies in functional medicine and functional nutrition, part of that was learning kinesiology muscle testing. So it's the ability to be able to listen and interpret the body's signals that it's giving you. And I was doing body work to be able to do that, like a physical body. And you might know that from a lot of chiropractors do that. It's a beautiful, beautiful practice. It's been used for thousands of years. So it's tapping into someone's energetic field to get to understand the body's priorities. Then I went on a journey of learning quantum physics and studied under Bruce Lipton and Duccio Lucardi and Rob Williams, incredible people who opened my mind to this thing called the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind, which is operating, we don't exactly know, but anywhere between 95, 99% of our actions and behaviors. And I learned how to transform old, unhealthy, limiting beliefs with new supporting beliefs. And so I had this practice where I was looking at stool tests and hormone, Dutch hormone tests and food sensitivity tests, just like you do. So similar, Tabitha. And then I was understanding like what the person wanted to feel instead, and we would learn from their body if that was a program that was running at the subconscious mind. And I looked at the two separate practices, and I worked out a way to create a method to fuse the two. And so I started practicing that. And so in my practice, the person, you know what it's like when the person comes to you, they're usually in pain. They're usually really needing to start a protocol straight away. And it takes 3 weeks to get a DNA stool test back. So I would use my method to get them started to use their body to give me the priority. So to understand what was going on. And a great example is a young girl. She had welts all over her legs, and they were huge welts. And she'd been in the children's hospital here, like seeing the best specialists and the best doctors. And they'd been using all sorts of cortisone creams, and she'd been to the best dermatologists. And so she came in, and I used my method, and I understood the message from the body that she had worms. And I reported to the mother, right, well, the guidance that we're getting from her body, this isn't me telling you, this is her telling us that she's got worms. Now we'll run this stool test and we'll get that confirmed back. And what I started to see, Tabitha, was that what my guidance, I don't want to call it a diagnosis because it's not, it's a message given to me from the body about what's going on, what the priority was. She could have had a heap of other stuff going on, bacterial overgrowth, candida, but the priority was the worms. That was what was causing the welts. And I asked that question and I got that affirmative. And then I got the stool test back 3 weeks later, and it showed she was riddled with worms. and I was blown away. I was doing this and I was blown away. And so that's what I do. I run the test, because the more data, you would know this, the more data, the better. And
Right.
we can only refine a protocol and get more and more personalized if we've got the data, if we know what's going on. So I ask the body these questions, and that's the intuitive side. And then I combine that with the biology, with what I see from the testing results. And we get these beautiful priorities, which are based on everything the body is telling us.
That is fabulous. I love that so much. Oh my goodness. I was just thinking about a patient recently. She had a full body rest just like that, even though she wasn't a teenager, she was in her 60s and she had worms. So
Ah, yeah.
yeah, but I just love that you're like stopping to take the time to get that information from your client, because I get the same information. I feel like if you just sit and listen, there's so many nonverbal cues that you receive, and I really honed that in as an obstetrician. Like everybody would be like, how did you know to go do that stat C-section? How did you know to intervene and things? And
Wow.
it's, you listen, you pay attention to what the universe and the patient is telling you. And so I 100% believe in all of it. So I love that you have really honed that skill of yours, because that's what it is. It's just another tool in your toolbox. And I think some of it's a little bit teachable. You can at least start to pay more attention to what your clients or your patients are saying, as opposed to just trying to stick with the science, like, especially us geeks, we want everything to just like make sense in the
Yes.
algorithm, and it just doesn't always. So I love that you've really honed in on this, and you've embraced it, because honestly, some people would be like, that sounds a little bit crazy or cuckoo, but you're getting the results that other people aren't. And it's because you're listening to the universe and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that's a great example for your clients to be like, you need to live in your authentic self, and that is how you're going to heal. That's what I find, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, Tabitha. And for years, I never said anything. I haven't used the word intuitive, even though now reflecting back on it, I've been doing it the whole time, because I was so afraid of being seen as not being credible. Like your journey with the gutsy gynecologist, I'm a spiritual scientist. So, and that's what I practice on myself. If my son falls over, and it's not to say we're not going to go to the hospital and have the scan, but I will ask his body whether it is something sinister going on, whether it needs immediate medical attention, whether there is a break or it's a strain, because mums, we're so protective of our offspring, and
Right.
we want to know that. So yeah, I never wanted to be, I always wanted to make sure that there was integrity in what I was doing. And so, yeah, I'm really proud of it now, and I'm ready to be courageous and talk about it, because it is a gift. And I've been put on this earth in my physical body as a spiritual being, to share it and transform the lives of millions of people, and especially my beautiful, ambitious women that are crumbling on the inside like I was.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And, I was just thinking about something Joe Dispenza said, like talking about the Big Bang Theory. We want everything to be so scientific and have no spirituality or higher power related to like the physical things we see on this earth. But if you think of any catastrophe, any Big Bang that's ever happened, that creates more chaos, not more order. So, a bomb blows up a building, it doesn't create order. So why would the Big Bang Theory create all of this amazing order and energy that, is connected in the universe? So to me, I just know that there's a higher power and that we need to be tapping into that, and that we are just spiritual beings with this physical body for the moment, like you mentioned, and that we can really change our physical body however we want. It can feel however we want. It can look however we want. There's so much we can do with it. So I love that you're embracing all this, because I think it's super important. So I just had a patient this morning. She said, we were talking about intermittent fasting, and she's so confused about when to eat and when not to eat. And she said to me, I'm not in tune with my body anymore. I don't even know what my body is saying to me. And I will tell you, I hear that at least 2 times a week. And what advice would you give women? Like, how do you even get back in tune with your own body? Because we're getting all these mixed signals, and sometimes it's the candida, craving the sugar and this and that. But where can we even start to just like get back to listening to ourselves? What do you love to do?
Such a great question. And I think it comes back to what we were talking about earlier, which is taking responsibility. So it's great that she is turning up. She's found you. She's been connected to you for a reason. You're the person that can help her reconnect with her intuition, because you work on the gut, and we know the gut is, the intuitive center of the body. So my guidance would be, the first step is exactly what she's done. She's realized that something is not right, and you talk about this a lot on your show, that those messages you're being given are messages, her inner being is having a ball, and the contrast in what she's feeling is because her inner being is letting her know that a deeper investigation needs to be done to help her feel better. So the first step is find, dig deeper, like learn about what's going on in your body. If her comment is that she doesn't feel connected, and it's hard because there are so many practitioners with so many views, and we're all so well-intentioned, but, things happen that are not a coincidence. She might bump into a friend, buying a coffee, and that friend might refer her to you. That's not a coincidence. So my advice would be, take action when that happens. When someone comes in your path, take action. And so she's come and she's seen you and she's let you know that. I mean, what better practitioner, a doctor to specialist, to help her can reconnect with her intuition than you. So that was great. She was actually already acting on her intuition. And then I think your comment earlier, I love, about hope. And, hope is so important and so linked to wellness. So if we can make sure, this gets back to that whole, I'm not the guru, everybody is intuitive. And I think if we just instill that confidence and empower her to realize that she is an intuitive, she's already been an intuitive, recognizing something is off with her intuition. And so if she did the deeper investigation, and you'll probably run a stool test, and the stool test will show dysbiosis, and then she'll rebalance the dysbiosis, and all of a sudden she'll start to hear those intuitive messages louder again. So my guidance would be to act if you get a message, if you think about something in the shower, or if someone, you bump into someone and they give you Tabitha's number on a piece of paper, act on that, and then share as much as you can about your goal, about the transformation that you want to receive, and then learn about your body. Take responsibility, do the investigation, find the person that can help you understand what's going on with your body. So much like you, I run the DNA stool tests. When we rebalance that and we heal and seal the leaky gut, we remove the food sensitivities, you are much better connected to your intuition, because you don't it's not clouded by all of the bad bugs that have taken over.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. And the fact that she is taking the time to just say, oh, I don't feel connected, I'm not hearing my body. That was the answer right there. She hasn't been taking the time. She hasn't stopped to listen and pay attention to all the signs that you're talking about. Like, the
Yes.
people that are coming in your life, the things that are happening. Like, we're just so mindless all day long from dusk till dawn. We just go, 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 go. We think busy and productive are, successful, and they're not. And I think being intuitive just is, like you're saying, like, stop and listen to yourself,
Mm.
pay attention. And that's where you're going to find so many of the answers. So you're
And I
just a
think
wealth of
also,
knowledge.
oh, so are you, gorgeous girl. And I think the other thing I'd reiterate, and this is something we have, like you're not even allowed to talk like this when I work with you, and it becomes such a thing that we repattern you. If she is coming in saying, I'm not this, and I'm not this, and I don't want this, that is the biggest thing people can change easily and effectively. So when you asked about tools and strategies before, one thing that's really important is speaking in the present tense and using positive language. That's the language that the subconscious understands. I am, I can, I believe, rather than flood your mind, your words that you use, your beliefs, and the energetic field that you sit in with, I can't, I don't want this. I mean, how many times have you heard, I don't want pain? It's like, you can't say that, because the subconscious doesn't understand don't. It hears, I want pain. Doesn't matter if you say I don't, but I said I don't. It doesn't understand, only understands wants and needs in the affirmative. So I can, I believe, I am. I love helping people speak like that. And it's amazing. You play a game with yourself and you see what gets brought to you more than you could ever imagine.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And I do that with my kids, because my one son, he lives in the negative. He's always, I can't, and if you pay attention to people's language, you'll be surprised at the majority of us are living in survival mode. We are all fear-based because we're trying to survive, right? We're trying to live as a species and not be killed off. So we're always in survival mode. And you're saying, let's get past that. Like, let's actually thrive and get into our greater beings. And that is where the magic happens. So I love all of it.
Oh, exactly. And the magic, and people are magical. So if you can implement some of these strategies, you will realize that you start to feel better. And the whole point about feeling better is that you can unleash your greatness. You have a purpose. You're here for a reason. What is your living legacy? And so that's a really important part of it. I think, how can we help people understand they have limitless potential? There is only one person putting a limit on yourself, and that's you.
Amen. Oh my goodness. That's the best way to end. I love it. So everybody, you need to follow Jackie on Instagram, because her recipes are freaking amazing. Like, that's what I love so much. No, but I love all your positivity and just the way that you see the world. Like, I just feel so in line with you. So everybody needs to follow you. And can they work with you one-on-one from Australia? Or how does that work?
Yeah, I would love that. I work with ambitious people who recognize that they are not where they want to be. So that's all you need to know. And, you need to be up for it. So the work I do is all remote. I gave up my brick and mortar years ago. I was very lucky to give it up before the pandemic, when I realized that I was in my best a space to be able to tune into someone's body when I worked remotely. So I love working with ambitious people that need a transformation and that want to really, and that's in either privately or in a group format. We know that when you're in a group, we see improved patient outcomes. So I think that's a really exciting space that people are not exactly comfortable with, but we get them there, and then they realize how they flourish when they're in this collective of people, safe space, going through the same things and yearning for that transformation. So yeah, absolutely. And I would love to connect with anyone that wants to feel better.
Awesome. So all those links are in the show notes. Everybody needs to follow Jackie Bowker. You're just fabulous. Oh, and your podcast, tell me the name of it.
Oh, yes. So I have a podcast. It's called the Feel Better Now podcast with Jackie Bowker. I, much like you, Tabitha, we have so much fun, and I love having courageous conversations that are out of the box, that they're not necessarily what people would expect. And as you know, it's another full-time job having a podcast. So I appreciate you, and I really enjoy, giving back in that way.
Oh, thank you so much, honey.
I so appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me on your amazing show. You're a gem.
Yay, I love that episode. I just love Jackie. I love following her on Instagram, and I love all the work she's doing. And if you're looking for amazing recipes, that's where it's at. So my golden nugget for today is reframing your limiting beliefs and realizing that your subconscious doesn't understand the negative. So when you say, I don't want pain, or I can't lose weight, what you're reinforcing in your subconscious mind is, I gain weight, I have pain. And so you just have to change the language that you're speaking in your head and out verbally and writing down. Like, I feel strong, I am strong, I feel good, I can lose weight, I have a healthy weight. Like, that will shift your subconscious, which directs the chemical processes in your body that drive hormone production and utilization. And so this is very, much hardcore science, even though it seems a little woo-woo. So I really want you to embrace this idea of reframing your limiting beliefs, reframing your language, using the positives, using the affirmatives. That was my takeaway for today. So I hope you found something that was like aha for you, that you're going to start incorporating or shift in your life to really make a difference. So go out, have a kick-ass week, share this with every woman you know, and let's do this together. Bye, ladies.